Like most of our shutdowns is an austerity versus spending problem. Do you read this as a increased frequency of risky events for Section 8 landlord?
If the government shutdown does not end, as of November 16th, rent payment checks may stop coming.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Landlord Lens. I am joined by my co-host, Seamus Nally. Seamus, how are you this fine Wednesday?
Doing awesome, John, and I'm super excited to talk about the largest headline we've had for the last 15 days, which is
the government shutdown. What are some of your favorite headlines that have come out of it so far?
Well, the ones that have jumped out to me have to do with food aid program, laying off federal workers, closing of our national parks, and of course, are we ever going to see the Epstein files? But I will tell you the aspect of the shutdown that's been most interesting to me is what the impact on Section 8 could be, since that is a government-run program, and HUD, which administers that, the housing vouchers, or Section 8, is frozen at the moment. So let's jump into that subject and what this all means.
We'll hop right into HUD after we talk about what is causing the shutdown. It's like most of our shutdowns is an austerity versus spending problem. It does look like there is meaningful middle ground, despite what both sides are fighting about in their headlines and the talking heads. So not super worried about this being a protracted experience, but the Section 8 vouchers and the inspections and that department's functioning have delayed, I understand.
Yeah, and certainly some people that are watching right now may work for the government, right? And their lives have been impacted. It has been interesting to see that a budget did pass the House. We failed in the Senate twice, so hopefully we get something that passes the Senate. It'll then have to flip back to the House, I believe, to pass before it hits the commander-in-chief's desk.
So I wonder if you could give a quick, 3-sentence explanation of how a Section 8 process works and what role HUD plays in that tenancy.
Section 8, or housing vouchers, is a federal program from the HUD, Housing and Urban Development. And what it does is it helps subsidize renters, low-income renters, with additional rent, right? In some cases, paying all of the rent for that individual. But in a lot of cases, it's complementing the income that they already make and paying a large portion of it. HUD has a responsibility to ensure that the housing that these individuals are living in is up to a certain standard. And so they have an inspection and a renewal process, which is part of what has actually been completely stopped with the government shutdown.
Gotcha. So HUD inspects properties, does renewals on those properties involving inspections, and then also issues vouchers to the landlord to partially subsidize rent for low-income people.
Exactly. It pays rent on behalf of the HUD participants.
Gotcha. And just to also be super clear, the inspections and the renewal process involve people, actual government employees, while the disbursements of the funds to the landlord are automated.
Exactly. And I think what you're getting at from that perspective is what is actually shut down right now, what is actually frozen. So for the last 15 days, the people-oriented processes within HUD have not been occurring. So you're talking about primarily inspections and contract renewals, as well as issuance of new vouchers, right? So people wait on these incredibly long wait lists to get into the housing voucher, the Section 8 program.
Renters, right? Yeah.
Renters, yes. Those are not being processed right now with the shutdown. The good news, though, for our landlords out there is that rent payments are still flowing, right? And it's not just good news for our landlords, but it's also really good news for our tenants, right? They want to make sure they can afford rent. And so HUD has a reserve, which they are working through right now, or spending through is probably the right way to put it. And estimates are that that will last till the middle of November. So about November 15th. If the government shutdown does not end as of November 16th, right? Rent payment checks may stop coming.
From HUD.
From HUD, exactly, right? That is the estimates of the amount of reserves that they have today. Now, if we go back in time, because government shutdowns aren't new, right? Our longest government shutdown in recent history was December 2018 into January 2019. It was 35 days, right? So we're at day 15 right now. It's an additional 20 days. During that time, the HUD's reserve lasted the entire time.
Oh, so this has never happened before.
So it actually covered the entire time. Yeah, it's never happened before, and it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Right. We're still 3 weeks away from that happening. So we actually don't have history where we can go back and look at, okay, what happened when the money dried up, right? The reserves dried up. But when we look back at that 2018 to 2019 shutdown, what we do see is that about 1,000 contract renewals were up that were not renewed, meaning somebody has been in the voucher program, that contract comes up for renewal, and they're not automatically renewed. There's something that has to happen on behalf of HUD team members to make that happen. Outside of that, though, the impact from the last shutdown on voucher programs, outside of just the personal stress that it causes, was pretty minimal.
Gotcha. Okay, so at least historically, there's not a lot of reason for concern based on how the previous governments have come back online.
Exactly. And I think even from the perspective right now, us being 15 days in, you're talking about one time ever before that we got to that 35-day mark. Knowing that we have 30 days left of reserves, that's actually great, right? Because that means we could have a shutdown of 45 total days before the rent checks stop flowing. And so that makes me feel optimistic that this is something that'll be all wrapped up by then.
Awesome. Okay. So in that case, probably, if you're a Section 8 landlord watching, it's very unlikely that your renewal date with your tenant is October 31st, November 1st. It's pretty unlikely. But what if that is your case? What do you do?
Yeah. So I think you have a challenging decision to make. I think in most cases, there's no reason to believe that the renewal won't take place once HUD comes back online.
Right.
So you could really treat your tenant as month to month would be my suggestion. Call your local HUD. You might not be able to reach someone because very few people are working, but it is still worth calling, asking if that's the scenario that you're actually in, asking what the best steps are to take. Once again, it's unprecedented, though, that we're in a position that the government obviously stays shut down forever, right? So in most cases, I think you could expect maybe a couple-week delay on that renewal coming in and you being in a stable position moving forward with your Section 8 tenants.
Okay. The other situation I think is worth addressing here that would feel urgent, right, in this moment, would be if you're trying to get a renewal inspection done to go bring your rental back to market, and you're unable to get a hold of anybody. What should you do in that case? Is that just give up on the Section 8 program and go to market without the renewed inspection? Is that wait, right, incur more vacancy costs?
Yeah, I think in the multiple choice you just gave me, you hit the two options that I'm aware of. One is you open it up to the broader market and syndicate it out and see what applicants are out there. The other is a hurry up and wait. You could send a sternly worded email to your senator.
I hear that works.
If only. Letters to Santa have more success, I think. But that is an approach you can take. Outside of that, you're just going to have to stay put. One suggestion I would have is contact your lender. So let's say you really rely on this rental income to pay a mortgage on the properties. Contact your lender, explain the situation. This is Section 8 housing. The government's shut down. They understand that, right? And ask for an extended grace period. There are certainly times in the past where lenders have made those exceptions, especially if you have a really strong history with them, to not ding you with late fees or reporting it to the credit bureau.
This austerity versus spending conversation that we have in this country all of the time isn't going away. Polarization's going up at the national and the federal level, right? Do you read this as a increased frequency of risky events for Section 8 landlords? Should Section 8 landlords just get out of it?
I don't think so, because I think housing affordability is something that both parties, that's bipartisan, right?
Yeah.
And so that want to fix that. I think looking after the citizens in the United States is something that both parties agree on. And so while there's been some DOGE efforts earlier in the year to cut some of HUD funding, that was really around making it run more efficiently. as opposed to actually cutting the funding that was going directly to housing voucher participants,
Right.
Tenants out there. So I don't think this is a reason to lean back. I think it's a reality of relying on the government.
Yeah.
For anything, right? Things will change that are outside of your control. But in my opinion, it's not a reason to run away from Section 8. There's a lot of benefits in the stable rent checks that Section 8 produce, and it's an incredible resource for a lot of tenants out there.
Awesome. Okay. So I appreciate it. Thank you for providing a message of calmness in what can feel like a very hectic national environment.
Yeah, and hopefully for all the landlords out there, this is now a reason to actually look at some of the headlines and care. Because if you're similar to me, it's been kind of challenging to get all hyped up until this point. But please comment with maybe struggles that you're seeing, or maybe you were a Section 8 landlord in 2018 and into 2019 during the last shutdown, and could provide some historical perspective in the comments. We'd love to read it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And if you're a tenant too, we had a lot of trouble finding what your experience is right now out there. Is your HUD representative responding? What's your experience been like? Please leave a comment. We're curious what you're going through.